Working from home is not an entitlement. That's the government's message to public servants, saying it wants to see more of them back in the office. But the opposition says morale needs to be considered and whether workers want to return after so many layoffs. Today's announcement comes as some Wellington businesses are closing due to a lack of car parks and customers in the CBD. Abby Wakefield reports.
At the end of this week, Egmont Street.
So basically, the government has set up an economic thing that especially with all the layoffs, that all the people in the number of people working in central Wellington has dropped dramatically under this government. And so now they're trying to make people come back into central Wellington so that businesses can survive. And it won't look quite so bad on their ledger sheet. That's what they're about.
Eatery will shut up shop.
17 people have been made redundant.
He says times have been tough recently.
It's a number of issues over the last couple of years. A lot to do with people working from home.
Now the government wants more public sector workers back behind their desk.
I'm really reluctant to say this is the minimum days a week, because that could set out an expectation that you're entitled to a day from home or a half day from home or 2 days from home.
They don't like that word entitled, do they? Like they use it like you're entitled to it. It's like if you work it into your contract. Like I sometimes jump on Seek and I have a look at work from home jobs just to see what there is. If that's a part of what people have negotiated, then it's not an entitlement. It's their right, actually, if it's a part of what they've negotiated with their bosses.
Because this is a lifestyle change, we need to approach it with empathy, with understanding, with care, and again, coming back to that why, what it means for a mum and her 3 kids.
The new expectations state that working from home is not an entitlement. It must not compromise performance, and agencies must actively monitor the impact.
So there's no evidence to say it's compromising performance now. If it was compromising performance, I'm sure they'd be talking about it. So it all just sounds like a bit of a mealy-mouthed, mean government again, trying to cover their businesses doing terrible in Wellington Central because of you. Because if there was things that weren't performing as well because of working from home, they would be talking about that. They would be saying production or is down by 18% and we need people back in the office. They're not saying that, which means it's not doing it. But they're just looking for a way to make it look like they're helping Central Wellington.
And report back to the Public Service Commission.
This office is very social and sometimes that's quite distracting. You can easily have conversations that go on for 20 to 40 minutes, but they've got nothing to do with work.
Here in Wellington, you only have to walk down Lambton Quay on a Monday or Friday, observe the fluctuation in the number of people swiping into offices each day, or talk to a cafe owner to see the impact.
They're the ones that have basically...
They should have finished that sentence. The impact of our policies. She left that part of the sentence off, Julie.
basically slashed 5,000 jobs in the last 6 months in Wellington. That's what's hammered the Wellington economy. It's got nothing to do with working from home.
Other public sector workers told One News that raising a young family without a flexible working arrangement would be a logistical nightmare, and they can't afford to buy lunch in town anyway. How would you describe the mood in the public sector at the moment?
Well, I'm just grateful to have a role. I'm grateful to be working, but it's getting less and less favourable.
Grateful for a job in unfavourable times. Abby Wakefield.
So there you go, Chewy. The government knows they've crapped all over the central Wellington business district by removing 5,000 workers from that area. And now they're going, crap, how are we going to stop our city from going under? Hey, let's force all the people who have negotiated being able to work from home back into offices. Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, so I think that's the thing, is that with COVID and when we all started to open up after COVID and that sort of thing, work from home was seen as a very attractive thing. So it was built into people's jobs. Like that's the agreements that they've reached and that sort of thing. And I think once again, the government has looked at this, holy shit, we're getting lashed over Central Wellington hospo, absolutely tanking. What can we do? This can't be our fault. Let's blame work from home. And I think they have completely overlooked so many things. There's the perception that work from home is less efficient. It's not. You can clock in and do a full 8-hour workday in an office and still only work 4 hours. 4 hours of useful work. You know, and what people have found when they work from home is that they are able to structure their day and produce the same, if not more work.
Well, and that's what that worker was saying, that you come into the office and you stand around the water cooler for 20 minutes talking about non-related work stuff. Let me just say this one more time, and I've said this about half a dozen times of this government. When they want to absolve themselves of them making bad decisions with a department, they say, well, this is completely up to the CEs. The chief executives decide that. If they're okay with that, then we're okay with that. And when they start to look bad, like Central Wellington is dying, all of a sudden, Chewy, it's not up to the CEs anymore. The government's coming in and telling the CEs, get your people back to work. See, what they do is they basically move away from awkward, hard conversations about, stopping people from working, laying people off by going, well, that's up to the CE. That's up to the CE. That's up to the CE, the chief executive. And then when whatever's going on embarrasses them, then they basically are saying, screw the CE, we'll make the decision now. It's double-faced. Is that the right thing? It's two-faced, even better. Two-faced. Yeah.
So let's talk about a couple of other quite likely scenarios, right? You work from the public service, you work in a central city office, you've got a young kid or two, that sort of thing. Work from home, you can have your kids at home more often, right? So you're saving on daycare. You're also saving on commuting time, transport costs, fuel, whatever. I don't know how many of you know Central Wellington, but not a lot of people actually live there. Certainly not young professionals and that sort of thing. They live in Lower and Upper Hutt and Porirua and that sort of thing. So now, guess what? Rush hour's back because Wellington's public transport is also fucked and has been fucked for quite a few years. The trains aren't reliable.
Is that a technical term?
Yes, fucked. Bunted, if you will. That sort of thing. The other thing, because there's always another thing that I have about this story, right, is I think it was Radio New Zealand interviewed a couple of business owners from Central Wellington and that sort of thing. And two thoughts sprung to mind. It's like one of the guys, he had a fruit and vegetable business in the middle of Cuba Street, sold up because the property was worth so much more, he got just moved out. But he said that he was having a booming business in the eastern suburbs where people live and work from home. And yet he hasn't put that together yet. And then the second thought I had is with all of these businesses going, holy shit, Central Wellington's fucked because all the workers are gone. Who did you vote for in the last election? That is the context that I want to hear when you're whinging about your business.
Yeah.
Like business will always look after itself. It will always adapt. Like Egmont Street Eatery is nowhere near the public sector part of town. It's all the way down on Courtney Place or near Courtney Place. It's in one of the laneways there. And it's been tough for hospo down that area since COVID. Pomodoro Bakery, a very nice but very fancy bakery, went under and blamed cycleways, which are nowhere near that business. They are also not near the public service sector of town. So sometimes businesses just fail. They don't adapt. The environment changes. Costs go up. All of these things have happened to hospo. And with everybody, not just public sector workers, but everybody feels the cost of living crisis. And they go, can I afford to go to the cafe 4 days a week? Can I afford to take me and my partner out for dinner as often as I once did? And I think everybody will go, fuck no, I can't do that anymore. They wanted us to tighten our belts. And so we did. And now everybody's freaking out.